How to make change stick in an organization. You've been leading or executing change and it's not sticky enough. You're constantly having to pour more energy, more resources, more time to make the change stick. I got you. In this video, I'm going to be sharing 3 sticky tips to make your next change initiative not only effective, but more sustainable. You ready? Let's get it. So maybe you've been leading or executing change in your work for a while, but you're noticing a track record that they aren't sustainable. It's like you have to always pour your own energy or the energy of others, the time, the resources to make the changes stick, to make them sustainable throughout the organization. Maybe you're feeling a little bit lost, not knowing exactly how to do that. Well, by the end of this video, you're going to be armed with 3 sticky tips that's going to help you make your next change effort stay. You're going to learn the secret that I've garnered in my years of working with executives across every industry vertical all over the world. You're going to learn what's critical to define as you're getting into the change effort. And lastly, you're going to learn that thing that so many underestimate. But I'm going to arm you so that you won't be the next to do so. So let me start with a truth that I've come to know through many, many years of leading and nurturing clients through change all over the world, as well as what I've experienced in my personal life. And that's that sustained change cannot happen without sustaining the belief that nurtures that change. And if y'all allow me, I'm gonna get deep. I'm gonna get real with you for a moment. So I am so grateful to say that I'm a recovering alcoholic. I haven't had a drink since 2014, and I'm so grateful to say that. And that sustained change, a huge change in my life, was not possible until I garnered the belief that I am powerless over alcohol. As soon as that switch flipped, as soon as I was able to really embrace the belief in the very fiber of my being, of my powerlessness over alcohol, that's when all the change began to happen. That's what made it sustainable. I can't tell you how many times I tried to quit drinking, but I hadn't developed that belief yet. And the same holds true when you're trying to make change stick in an organization. You really need to understand what are the beliefs that are going to drive that change. That really is where the stickiness happens. So I want to take you through 3 tips that's going to help you ensure your next change is as sticky as ever. All right, let's dive in. So your sticky tip number 1, all right? The first thing that you really need to be thinking about as you're wanting to make these efforts very sticky throughout the organization, the first is define the beliefs that are going to make that change happen. So let's talk about this in the context of business. So let's say you want to make a change in an organization and perhaps it's a new way of working. So you're integrating a new software platform. Now, the belief that's going to make that change work, meaning that employees are going to be excited about using this new platform, this new software, the beliefs have to be this software is way better than the software we were using before. This software is going to make my work a lot more efficient and it's going to make it easier. And I'm going to be able to get a heck of a lot more work done, right? So those are the beliefs that are going to make that change stick. Think about it. As an employee, if I'm thinking I use this system, my work's going to get better, my work's going to be simpler, and I'm going to be more effective, of course I'm going to want to use this new system, even though there's going to be a learning curve and it's going to be challenging as I'm trying to learn the new content. But define what those beliefs are for you and your change. What do employees have to be thinking in order to make that future state a reality for the long term? Now, once the beliefs are defined, number 2 is that you need to define the actions that are going to be driving those beliefs, right? Define the actions that those beliefs nurture. So let's continue the example of that software integration. If I believe that this new platform is going to make my work simpler, more efficient, and I'm going to be able to get more work done, the action that I'm going to use is I'm going to be using this platform. I'm no longer going to be using the antiquated, outdated platform that's cumbersome. I'm going to do my best to use this platform. And maybe I'm even going to talk about it to others about how efficient it is and how much better it's helping me in my work. So define exactly what those actions are. And of course, it's not going to be sometimes as simplistic as simply using a tool that you're looking to introduce. It could be a little bit more complex than that. The ticket is to really get clear on what are the actions that the beliefs are driving for your particular change. Get crystal clear on those. And then once they are, you yourself can begin role modeling those actions, as well as employing those around the organization to role model them as well. Once it's crystal clear on what behaviors, what actions you need from them, it's going to be very easy to communicate and even show what those behaviors are. And then you'll start inspiring role models all throughout the organization to create momentum in making the change a reality. Now, the third tip is maybe a little bit more nuanced, and that's to never underestimate the power of consistency when you're moving from the transition state to steady state. When we're looking to make a change stick and we're looking to foster certain actions, certain beliefs, it's so important that we're role modeling on a consistent basis those same actions and role modeling those same beliefs. The more consistent that you can be throughout that transition state, so the time between the change being introduced to the time that the change is actually steady state, everybody's doing it and it's now just status quo, that consistency is paramount. And that goes for all the role models in the organization, right? For yourself, as well as those that you really want to nurture, role modeling these behaviors. Be consistent in that behavior. Because the moment that you start drifting back, or your role models start drifting back, then you'll start losing a bit of trust in your belief. These beliefs might begin to dissolve in the organization. Be consistent with the way that you're role modeling these behaviors when you're in that transitory state so that you can reach that steady state status quo. Yo, by the way, if you're liking this content, comment below. Tell me about maybe some beliefs that you're looking to nurture in your organization, maybe some actions that you're trying to become more consistent at, or maybe if you've seen the power of consistency play out in your team or in your business. Shoot a comment down below. And I just want to offer one last little tidbit as we think about the power of consistency. Brands are actually built on consistency, right? If you think about a brand that you know, that you love, that you trust, there's probably a few thoughts that pop up as you think about these brands, right? And the way that they've been able to command those thoughts to immediately pop in your mind is through the communication, the behavior, and the actions that they've been doing to nurture that belief, to nurture those thoughts that you keep thinking. That instills trust. So the more that you can build that consistency in action, in words, and communication, you're nurturing the thoughts that your employees keep thinking, or in other words, their beliefs. Listen, if you dug this content, I've got something else for you, something I'm offering to you for free. So my company, Change Enthusiasm Global, partnered with a leading research firm to understand the state of change and emotion in the workplace. These are all the insights, all the data, all the knowledge that your employees or your peers are thinking and maybe not telling you. Now, I want to share that information with you for free. All you got to do is click below and you're going to get our complete white paper on this research. I want to make sure that you have the research, the data, and the insights to ensure you can successfully grow through even your most challenging change. I'm Cassandra Worthy, and until we meet again, keep growing and keep rocking.